welcome back to the channel. We're starting about 10 minutes early. Stefan's back on the night. He was buzzing to get on. I think he was watching a bit of the feedback on Tuesday night. We Liverpool fan Owen. A lot of comments coming in. Stefan's on to say his piece. We will look back at Sunday's results. We've seen Arsenal beat Liverpool in quite a convincing one. But main focus tonight, looking back at Chelsea's one last night against Villa in the FA Cup. Big result for them under so much pressure. Can that kickstart their season? Villa, as Stefan predicted, have had a bit of a brick wall under Emery, as it's very similar to these PSG Arsenal days. And we'll be looking back at looking ahead to the rest of the weekend's action, where Aston Villa do take on Man United in the feature game. We'll give you your predictions for the games, but I want to start with sort of breaking news just happened in the last sort of 30 minutes or so. The Nations League draw. I'll tell you what, not a lot of people interested in it, but I can tell you there's a lot of people now in Ireland very interested in it, because Ireland have been paired with England in a group of 4. So Ireland will play England home and away between September and November later this year. I mean, Stefan, I know you're not an Ireland fan or an England fan, but that's a massive rivalry in international football. That's as big as it gets, really.
It is, but if you're Irish fans, judging by what I've seen in the last few years with Ireland,
that's going to be tough.
I wouldn't be, I don't know, I wouldn't be too confident playing against England. And England, if you look at their history, they have been, they haven't been the best in the competitions, but against their kind of direct rivals, the Wales, the Scotlands, they usually win, and they win quite easily. So let's see. I mean, I'm sure the atmosphere in Ireland for the game will be sick. I'm sure that'll be a crazy.
It's the first competitive meeting between the two sides since Italia '90.
Honestly, they haven't played each other in over 30 years.
They haven't been paired in World Cup or European qualifying.
Not even a friendly, Gareth?
No, well, they've played in friendlies. Obviously, famously in 1985, the game was stopped before half-time. Ireland were 1-0 up in Dublin. There was trouble in the crowd, and the game was stopped. But England have came a couple of more times, and they've been draws, I think. So they haven't beaten us in Dublin for quite some time. And even them results in Italia '90 and '88, I think, as well, they played in the Euros. Ireland had some success. So, but all of a sudden, it's very different now. Ireland don't have the players they had in them days. England are strong. And this could potentially be the new England manager's first competitive game. Now, we don't know when they're going to play each other. I think the fixtures already come later tonight. But it'll be the first campaign under a new England coach, because it looks like Southgate will step down. Even if he wins the Euros, he may take that decision himself, or his contract will be up, so he may just part ways anyway. So that'll bring intrigue to it. But a lot of pressure on England, because they dropped down to that League B. You look at the group, Finland are okay. Greece have done really well. They qualified.
Greece are worse than Bulgaria and Romania lately. So
they've done well.
But not only that, I don't know if you know, there's turmoil because the Greek Federation haven't paid, because their coach was Gus Poyet. Yeah, they hadn't paid him for like 9 months.
He's been linked with the Ireland job, so he has. Ireland have no manager at the moment.
I don't know. I don't know. Like these type of coaches, like the Gus Poyets, like there's always these kind of the South American.
We're also linked with Chris Hughton. He had a terrible experience with Ghana.
Ghana fans wanted him gone. Like, I don't know if you saw some videos at AFCON after they went out. They were like, the journalists that were covering the team were howling at the coach, telling him leave the team. Like the journalists that had press passes.
The favorite for this job is Lee Carsley, who won
He's a good coach, man. I mean,
so it'll be interesting. Now, from what I hear, this is going to be announced in the next few weeks, because obviously there's friendlies in March, so I think they want it in place by then. So, but Carsley at the minute is strong favorite.
He's done well. He's done well with the under 21s. But then again, if you look at the talent pool that England have, like, you have to do well.
And also, if you look at it, Ireland picked their last manager on under 21 success, Stephen Kenny, and it didn't work out. So
it didn't work out. Well, that's the thing. It's kind of like in American sports. It's very rare that a coach from college football does well in the NFL. He does.
I mean, Stephen Kenny couldn't even beat Bulgaria over 2 games. I mean, that was
Yeah.
one of the nations League, 2
And
draws.
Bulgaria have been awful. Like they have not been like what we were 15, 20 years ago. You know, we had some great
Darren
players.
saying it'll take somebody special to get Ireland back. They won them ways. Darren.
But I mean, it hasn't been that far away. I remember you were a Thierry Henry handball away from getting, was it the Euros or the World Cup?
World Cup, and then they went to the Euros in 2016, and France knocked them out in the last 16. If you remember, 2016.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it hasn't been that bad. Because I read some of the Irish press. I don't know why. I don't remember why I follow them on Twitter, and some of them are very kind of like. What I've noticed is I think they're trying to apply the same.
The expectations aren't realistic.
No, they're applying the standards of Irish rugby, because Ireland for a period of time, remember, were the #1 nation in rugby, in world rugby. They had won like the Grand Slam in the Six Nations, and they were trying to apply almost that expectation and that standard to the football team, which
very unlucky to lose to New Zealand in the World Cup quarterfinal. They beat by 1 point, and they had every chance of winning that. But they'll get a great result against France in the first game of 6. They should win the Grand Slam again.
They were I remember before the World Cup, everybody was saying they were the odds-on favorites to win the World Cup because they were playing really well. They had beaten, I remember, New Zealand. I think it was a year ago.
And they'd also beat the winners who went on. They won at South Africa in the group stage.
Yeah,
they beat them.
And they were on a roll. And I noticed, like, because in the article I remember reading about Irish football, like he was comparing it to Irish rugby, where
it's not.
First of all, your club teams. Leinster is one of the best club teams in Europe, so the standard of Irish rugby is very high. You naturalize a lot of players that by their date of birth are not Irish, but you can do that in rugby. It's legal, just like every nation does, so that makes it easier. So it's like and the competition, out of how many nations do they play elite level? You're not playing Georgia or Romania in the World Cup, where the standards.
Stefan, we're going to move on, but just as you mentioned them things, I think you make a great point about the journalists, expecting the same standards, because the group we had for the Euros to qualify was Holland, France, Greece, and Gibraltar.
It was a crazy group.
Gibraltar are very poor. But I remember when we played Greece, everyone was expecting Ireland to just smash Greece, and we lost both games. Greece have better players.
I mean, they're not very good, but you're not winning in Greece easily. France couldn't beat Greece in Greece. I think they drew 1-1, was it? Or was it? Or did they win at the death 2-1?
No, 2-2. I think 2-2.
2-2. Yeah, so they could. So everybody. So I remember reading the article, and like there was this expectation that we should have beaten Greece, and I'm like what? Like, okay, you're in a group with France and Holland. Don't get me wrong, Holland aren't very good either, but they still have better players than Ireland, even if they're not in the best of form. So I just thought it was really kind of the football team's failures. Came at the wrong time because the rugby team was doing so well. And
quickly, out of that group of 4, England, Ireland, Greece, and Finland, where do you think Ireland will finish?
I think you should finish second. Greece are not very. You have no idea. Their league is in complete turmoil. Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. I don't know if you know. Every 3 or 4 years in the Greek league, it comes to a standstill because either one of these teams gets accused of match fixing. So the whole league, like 2 or 3 seasons ago, Panathinaikos got banned for a year from the Greek league. I think one of their chairmen got jailed because of match fixing. Like, it's nuts. Like, their owner got annoyed at the ref in one game and
they attacked the ref.
No, he didn't attack the ref. He took out a gun in the middle of the pitch. Like,
who was it where the referee got attacked? Which game? Which game is that?
I think that was Olympiacos. I think Marinakis, if I'm not mistaken, if there's any Greeks here, Marinakis got his bodyguards that came with him down to the pitch to beat up the ref. And he also got so there's just,
he owns Nottingham Forest, doesn't he?
Yeah, the owner of Nottingham Forest. Why people this is the thing that makes me laugh, like, at the lack of should I call it selective ignorance? It's like people don't do their homework. Like, if you read about Marinakis, this type of turnover of 20 players, This is child's play to him. And
they're really struggling now. We have obviously been punished, haven't they?
No, yeah, but like they were like, how is this guy doing this? At Olympiacos, he would do this if they had a bad season, Gareth, every single player pretty much was gone. He would replace the whole team in one season. So this concept that everybody
and let's be honest, the only reason Steve Cooper kept his job that long is because the fans kept him. He wanted rid of him ages ago.
I was honestly really surprised he fired him. I thought Stephen Cooper, I think, is a very underrated coach. No coach,
but we even heard the season before that he was thinking about getting rid of him, and the fans kept him on the job, and I think it was just a matter of time.
I was because if you know Marinakis, okay, he's the equivalent of the Italian guy from Watford. Yeah. Like if you watch it, Olympiacos, like he will fire. You go on a 5-6 game bad run, you're done. You're gone in Greece. Maybe, but Olympiacos is like the biggest Greek team.
Greek teams. So
they're kind of like the Real Madrid.
Darn thanks Ireland to be lucky to get third. Owen saying we're just so poor. I never get my hopes up. Callum saying evening, Stefan. We're going to speak about Chelsea in a few seconds, but we'll just touch back on the game on Sunday because Owen was on Tuesday night, Liverpool fan. And to be fair to him, he was quite honest with his assessment that Arsenal were much better, deserved to win. But I mean, Stefan, in the 3 games that Arsenal and Liverpool played there on a short space of time between December 23rd and February the 4th, Arsenal deserved to win at least 2 of them. And you'd say the draw in the other game was probably fair at Anfield. I mean, Arsenal have done very well in the games against Liverpool this season.
No, I just want to say this, Gareth, because when I was last on the show, and I said, if you play the same way that you did in the FA Cup, Arsenal are going to beat you. And everybody in the comments, Callum, Darren was like, we're going to win because we're Liverpool. Yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, just because you're Liverpool. I just want to, just 3-4 minutes because I got so much flack from everybody. Arsenal aren't that good. Liverpool are way better. They're going to beat us. I saw predictions. Callum predicted 3-0 at the Emirates. I saw 4-0 that they're going to beat us 4-0 at the Emirates. Why? Because their prediction came from the fact that they beat us in the FA Cup, where every single neutral observer will tell you they were super lucky in that game. Arsenal were by far the better team, even though the scoreline didn't show it. Arsenal should have won that game. I would say Arsenal played better in the FA Cup game than they played in that. They were more dominant, especially in the first half. And Liverpool got lucky. And so then the fans kept going on about how they're great and how we wouldn't be able to deal with, But then, of course, I just want to point out, after the game came the excuses. We didn't have Mohamed Salah. Darwin Núñez.
All I'm saying is that you're quick to point out Arsenal have players missing. Liverpool had a lot of injuries as well.
Well, Arsenal had their number 9 missing. We played with Kai Havertz, who all of you made fun of in the chat and said was rubbish, including Gareth.
Okay. he had a good game.
So because I remember reading one of the I don't remember who it was. Oh, Kai Havertz is going to play advantage Liverpool. Well, you were wrong there.
Aren't saying Arsenal. Luck played a
massive part. Are you serious, Darren? And Luck didn't play a massive part. Luck didn't play a massive part in us scoring an own goal when you had 0 shots on target and scored a goal. Dude, see, this is what I mean. And then not only did that annoy me at the fact that they were bringing up injuries as an excuse because they didn't let Arsenal. Because I'm telling you this. If Thomas Partey played in that midfield, Liverpool would not have touched the ball. Liverpool would not. With Declan Rice and Thomas Partey in that midfield, you would not have touched the ball. I really rate Jorginho. Gareth knows this. But you made Jorginho look like Clarence Seedorf.
Jorginho was very good. Yeah, I'm saying that Havertz showed that Sunday strikers his best position.
No, it's not.
I disagree.
No, he just played really well in that.
Look, he had a good game on Sunday, but I'm still not convinced.
I agree with you, Gareth. I agree.
He did a good job. It's very much like Richarlison's doing a great job for Spurs, but do I think he should be our number 9 going forward? I don't think so. But he's doing a good job.
I'm the same. I'm not convinced as him as a 9, but if you put him in one of those big games where defensively we have to be really sound, I think he's
quite
perfect.
Strong. He's quite strong, isn't he? He's quite
No,
strong.
he can. The problem with him is he's a bit of like a Swiss Army knife. He's quite strong, but he's not dominant. He's good in the air, but he's not. Again, he's not amazing in the air. He's technical, but he's not like a mid like a really silky like really silky. He can do a bit of every. He's fast, but he's not rapid. So that's the problem with him.
All trades, but he's not a
Yeah,
specialist.
he's a bit, and that's why I think people struggle to find, because you see he plays well in midfield one game, and then you think, okay, he might be.
Darren's laughing. I think he can take it as if he's just having a joke with you about the look.
No, I know, but like it's just, and then not only that, after Arsenal win and they celebrate, the absolute gall of Liverpool fans, and especially the number one Liverpool fan in Jamie Carragher, to talk to Arsenal players and fans about celebrate. I just want to point it out, Gary, before we move on. To talk to Arsenal fans
what
about
did you think of the celebrations? What did you think of the celebrations?
I thought it was normal. Arsenal. It was the biggest game of Arsenal's season. We knew if we didn't win, we were pretty much out of the actual title race. We played really well. Do I think they were excessive? Yes, but who cares?
If you don't want to, I don't agree. I think you're entitled to celebrate. That's a big one.
But Darren, if you don't want us to celebrate, beat us. Don't let us celebrate. Make us not celebrate. And this thing coming from Liverpool fans, when your coach made your team do a Mexican wave after finishing 2-2 with West Brom, your coach losing his glasses after drawing 4-4 away to Norwich, pulling a hamstring last season after scoring against Spurs after losing a 3-goal lead, and you're gonna, oh sorry, I forgot about the Everton game, a relegation threat to Everton. You beat them in the last minute because of Pickford's great goalkeeping. He runs onto the pitch. No, he doesn't just celebrate in it like around his air. He runs onto the pitch where all the players are. And Liverpool fans, like, I get it if it was even Spurs fans now. Ange doesn't celebrate.
Said it was actually a 5-4-1 against Norwich.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I know winning away at Norwich is a big game. I'm sorry, Darren. I forgot the actual.
But I agree. I think it's very rich. It's very rich. Liverpool fans have had many a celebration, like you described there now.
No, like Klopp is, I would say, the most unprofessional, along with Conte, in terms of how you act in a technical area. Arteta is also not professional. Like, he's not. But like, if I listen from Liverpool fans or from teams that had Conte, I don't want to hear anything from you. I don't want to hear any, or the amount of times Klopp has attacked the actual side referees, grinded his teeth at them, swore at them. Like, please don't come at me.
I have to say, Stefan, you've silenced them because there's not many replies to this run. So you know what we'll do? Well, you've said your piece, and to be fair, I think Arsenal deserve a lot of credit. Not easy to say for me as a Spurs fan, but they were a better team. I had no issue with the celebrations. I think Arteta does have to watch with the touchline. He stands on that white line. He's not just outside. He's actually standing on the line. But look, that's for another day. Let's focus back on last night, because it was probably the game of the week in terms. There wasn't much else on. Everybody fancied Villa. After watching them especially after beating Sheffield, people thought maybe Villa were back, but Sheffield are probably poor opposition to judge against. But Chelsea started well, and the game was over really when that second goal went on. Villa looked flat. They looked leggy. Does that result surprise you last night, or have you seen that so many times from an Emery team where
I warned you? No, everybody. I remember also everybody in the chat was saying Arteta won the FA Cup with Emery's team, and Emery's doing better than Arteta, and he's a better coach. Are you reading this now in any of the comments now about Emery? Suddenly, all the revisionist Emery talk has completely died down, because he's doing exactly what I predicted, which is he's going to start really well after his preseason. He's going to have his honeymoon period for 4 or 5 months, and then the team is going to go down. And that's exactly what happened, even though I thought the Chelsea game was just one of those games where everything Chelsea pretty much every shot they had was in, and the free kick from Enzo was ridiculous. So it was kind of like everything connected perfectly for Chelsea in that game. But I'm not surprised. Emery had these games in him. Like, I remember, with Arsenal when we finished 2-2 against when we were 2-0 up against Watford. We drew 2-2 and they had 33 shots. Or this season, I mean, you could
What was that? One of the
honestly.
things I picked up on the commentary last night in ITV was Sam Adderfist and Lee Dixon. Lee Dixon was, I'm not his biggest fan, but he said something that I was sort of thinking for a large part of it, especially even in the first half when the game was getting away from him. He refused to change it. He kept the same players, same tactics when it was
Which was
so badly wrong. I mean, I didn't understand that at all. I mean, it took them to about 70 minutes to make a change, and the game was over. That's
which to me was surprising because Emery is usually extremely, to the point of which I would say, people would criticize him because he would tinker too much, even with a successful system. So I was surprised. You could see what the biggest problem was. It was obvious. The midfield was too slow.
Couldn't press at all.
No, they couldn't, because Tielemans, and if you have Tielemans and Douglas Luiz, there is no athleticism in the midfield. Even though I thought Chelsea played well, I still thought they were really open, Chelsea, especially defensively. Like Villa, if they wanted to, they just lacked, I think, a bit of just the final pass or the final shot was not good enough. But it's just an Emery classic where you go to teams where you expect to win. Like I remember his first season at Arsenal when we lost 3-2 at home to Palace, where we drew 1-1 against Brighton at home when we had pretty much the easier run-in going into the top 4 race in the final 5 game. He will have these stinkers. He will. And I think Villa fans, the problem with him is what you said. He's when he starts to have these bad games, he starts to question his own tactics and starts to change.
It's very chalk and cheese. I remember when Arsenal were going well, they were excellent, and then all of a sudden one defeat and it turned into like a 5 or 6 game run. They couldn't win a game. We'll come back to Villa, Stefan. We'll come back to only focus on Chelsea for now. James is asking who he thinks will finish second. We'll talk about this at the end, James. So we will.
Arsenal.
Where do you think? Why do you think we haven't seen a performance like that from Chelsea? The only other game I can think of, and I mean away from home, is the Spurs game, but that was 9 men and there were circumstances on there. This was 11v11 at Villa Park. They dominated most of the game up until the last 10 minutes, really, where Villa had all them chances at the end.
I would say our game.
Where do you think that? Why do you think we haven't seen that from Chelsea at all season?
Really? We have seen it. We have seen it against the big teams. So whenever there's a team
more so at home, but this is away.
From home. Against us, against Man City at home, where they scored 4, it finished 4-4. Against us, where they were better, I would say, than us, and then we equalize. Just like Man City, they came back late in the game, just like us. This shows again. You know how much I talk about this. This shows just a bad culture, Gareth. This shows that you're only up for it when you hear talk about how the club is, destroyed and there's, nobody stays. I don't know if you read the reports, because that, again, another example of a bad culture. Man United are exactly the same. Whenever results are bad, there's immediately leaks about either training is too hard. Spurs were this a couple of, I would say, for the under Mourinho, under the last year of Poch. And I remember reading in the last year of Poch that the players weren't happy with training, that it was too hard. Then I remember at the end of Mourinho's reign, it was the players aren't happy, the training is too easy. And with Chelsea, I read the same thing a couple of days ago. I read that the players weren't happy at the fact that he pushes them really hard.
They weren't happy with Potter, were they, at the start? And
then they were. There were leaks with Potter at the end where they were saying that nobody took him seriously, that somebody even called him Harry Potter. And the fact is, that just shows to me that there is players that are just not committed, that there's players that don't care about the club itself, and that the culture is bad. They don't care about the ramifications of that. And with Chelsea, trust me, if they lose to Crystal Palace on Monday, the same stuff is going to come up again.
See the celebration for the free kick where Fernandes takes his shirt off and he points to the 8, referring to the 8 years he's left on his contract. Obviously, before the game, there was all these reports that Fernandes wasn't happy. His agent come out and silenced that and says he is very happy.
Of course,
I mean, if fair enough, I get that. But the taking the shirt off, that's something he doesn't have to do and point to the 8. Maybe it's PR, I don't know. But it doesn't strike me as a player that doesn't look overly happy. So why are these players that are claiming not to be unhappy in reports then doing something like that when they score? I mean, can you read into that at all?
Siege. It's just 2 words: siege mentality, where the players, I think, feel that everybody is against them. It's very easy to motivate like that. When there's no expectations, everybody thinks you're crap, and also they feel like the media is on top of them because they're leaking reports. Enzo is. I just want to point out to all the viewers, Enzo did the same with Benfica last January,
Right.
where
Right.
he did this with his badge and said he's staying. Well, a week later he was
So he's
at Chelsea.
unreliable.
Yeah, so trust me, he can do this only once. If Chelsea won't get Champions League or even European football this year, if they don't get Champions League or European football next year, do you really think if there's interest in him, he's going to
Champions
stay?
League, no chance.
No chance. No chance. So this concept that suddenly he's loyal to Chelsea and all of that is just, fans are just, I would say, are very naive if they really think that.
It was a strange atmosphere last night because they showed you the players coming on, and there was a lot of boos, and they were going for Pochettino. He's come under a lot of fire. I mean, one of the things he's come under fire for is the constant shopping and changing the team, different players, different formations, playing 3 at the back, 4 at the back, can't settle. You've seen this with Potter as well. He was doing the same. I mean, when you're not getting results, I suppose you have to try and find a way to get a result. So, I mean, should Poch be criticised for changing the team so often? If the team's not performing, if he just picks the same team all the time, then he's going to get criticised anyway. I mean, he can't do much right, this fella.
I don't know. You know my opinion on Poch. I don't rate him as a coach, but honestly, the way Chelsea has been managed over the last, let's be honest, the way Chelsea have been managed over since Todd Bowley came in is exactly the stereotype that British media used to joke about future American owners, that they're going to come, they're going to think it's baseball, or because the way he's just bought players, you can see, if you watch it like baseball, I watch baseball, so I know baseball. This is what they do in baseball, where they compile a massive talent pool of players, Gareth, and they have what they have is feeder clubs called Division 1, 2, 3, and they put them in those division clubs. They develop them just like what they're doing with Strasbourg. I'm reading they're trying to buy some stake in Port. So they're doing everything similar to what they did in baseball, just showcasing how ignorant and how, I would say, arrogant they are that might work when it's never been proven that it has. Yeah. So I just think the whole management structure is so wrong. First of all, 6 months ago, you had 3 sporting directors. They fired one of them. Now they have 2 sporting directors that do the same job. Whilst I'm reading Todd Bowley also has an influence on transfers. It's a complete mess. It's just nobody knows their roles.
So do you think this club's unmanageable for any manager, really?
100. Honestly, if they fire Poch, which I think they will, because I don't think he can manage this. I think they will at the end of the season if they fire him. I'm reading they can't fire him because of
well, I heard that, but I also heard that
I honestly can't think who's going to come to
well, Chelsea. I heard that there's a potential issue with profit and sustainability rules, but I also seen that they seen what happened last year, and they've changed manager in the last 2 seasons with Tuchel being sacked, Potter and then Lampard coming on.
Yeah, from what I remember,
it didn't improve. So I think they're just trying to get to the summer. And
no, they're worse. I don't know if you saw. After what was it? The games that they've played this season, Potter had 31 points. This guy Poch has 30. So by points wise, they're worse. So for me, I look at some of the signings they have. Like Sterling looks disinterested. He's on a massive contract. He's going nowhere.
John makes a good point there. He's saying, would it not be difficult to get rid of players on
that was for me. That was
the only thing is, the players themselves might actually, this might be a situation where the likes of Enzo, if he says, look, we're not in the Champions League, he might want to go anyway, so it might not be that difficult to get rid of him. Plus, Chelsea, if they get the right money, see me Harvard.
But wait, Gareth, you're missing. He has an 8-year contract. So what usually happens when, from what I know, when transfers occur, is that the new club bumps up your pay in terms of it. If you, let's say, have a 3-year contract left, they give you a bigger signing on fee in order to guarantee the money that you're already owed from the previous contract. Who's going to pay? First of all, who's going to pay?
For example, let's just say they decide to sell someone like Fernandes in the summer, and Callum's making a point there. He might not want to go, but because Chelsea are doing so poorly, he might actually fancy a move. And say they get 70 or 80 million back, even though they've lost money, they'll probably move him on only if he wants to go. I don't know. It's a tricky one because I think
they're going to loan him. Their best bet, because if you look at every single player that they have bought, apart from maybe Cole Palmer, even though they bought him for crazy money for the appearances that he
lose money and selling him.
40 million. The only one that has his value has stayed the same or increased, I would say arguably, is Cole Palmer. Every single other player has been a complete just cucurella. From 60 million, how much is he worth now?
That's it. Nobody would, I don't think anybody would buy Mudryk for 10
like Badiashile, 40 million. I wouldn't pay 5 million for Badiashile. He is awful. Axel
disaster.
40 million. I wouldn't pay 5 million. I think they're awful, both of them. We can continue. We can go on. Caicedo was, like, in my opinion, was close to Declan Rice. He was my close second choice to come to Arsenal when we needed to sign a midfielder apart from Declan Rice. Now he looks half the player that he was at Brighton. Let's be honest. So all of these players, Enzo Fernandez, his stock has gone down. His form has gone down the drain.
I think he's the one though out of all them players that you mentioned. Yes, it hasn't worked out, but I think he is the one that some teams would take a chance and pay back money on. I think
Mudryk. I think Mudryk. If I am a team, if I'm Arsenal, and I really I see Mudryk, and I'm telling you, I've watched him against Real Madrid play for Shakhtar. This kid, with the right coaching and with the right atmosphere, can become an amazing player. He can become. The fact is, Bayern Munich tried to sign him on loan this January. If Bayern Munich and Arsenal
I see is the player that's got loads of piss, and I don't really see much else.
I agree. I agree with you. He looks raw, but I think the environment at Chelsea is so bad that I don't think he has the intangibles, in my opinion. He's too young to kind of develop himself, and I really think if Arsenal are smart and let's say they want to save some money, I would put in a nice loan deal for him. Come to Arsenal with an option to buy, because his value has dropped also considerably since he's come to Chelsea. Let's be honest. And it suits them if he comes in, has a good season with Arsenal, so his value can, be restored a little bit. So for me, but I agree. Enzo is another player. I personally don't think he has what it takes to be a top midfielder in the Premier League.
I'm saying, how can you reference Bayern scouting when they bought THIER and tried to find Tripper?
Let's
move on because we're on a time basis tonight, because I know Stefan's got plans. So we're going to touch off on Chelsea here before we move on to Villa. I mean, you mentioned about the atmosphere and the environment. Thiago Silva's wife hasn't improved that. She's come out and made a reference. Now, no one knows exactly what she meant, but you can have a fair idea of what she meant. She says change it now before it's too late. I mean, apparently she was another person who was causing problems during Graham Potter's reign. I mean, how can somebody's wife, how can she be taken to social? I mean, and then the tweet wasn't even deleted for hours upon days after. I mean, Thiago Silva was dropped last night. He hasn't been playing well. He did come on at the end.
He doesn't get along. He doesn't get along with Poch. You can tell.
He doesn't. His days are numbered at Chelsea now. Thiago Silva.
No, I mean, he's gone. He's 39, and he's still easily their best defender in my. It's not even close.
Well, he's had a terrible month, but he's been awful.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I would have Thiago Silva any day over Badiashile or Dizazi. In my opinion, if you're asking me right now, but people are surprised at this. In the NFL, this has occurred numerous times where the wife of a player has written on Twitter, has come at a coach for dropping him or for not doing well. And usually what happens is they cut the player as they release him. So this is really, really bad in terms of, in my opinion, again, this shows a lack of culture, a lack of a good environment at Chelsea, where if the wife knows that this is a well-run club, that there's a serious manager at the helm, do you really think her husband is gonna tell her?
That's the thing too. The Thiago Silva's such an experienced player. I know she's not a player, but she's been in football with him a long time. I can't believe she thought that was the right thing to do.
I mean, she did it with Graham Potter. I remember she also did it with Emery. People forget that she did it with when he was at PSG, when they lost to, I think they lost in the last minutes to Real Madrid. Benzema did the comeback. So she's done it numerous times. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, tell me, Thiago Silva and Poch don't get on, so it's probably. I know it's come from her, but it's probably on the back of something he said there. But I mean,
No, it's
do
the
you think he's
equivalent.
got a
Yeah.
big, because of his experience, do you think he's a big player in the change room? Do you think he's the type of player that would turn players against Poch?
Look, one thing, let me tell you, when Tuchel was at his rock bottom when he got fired, his wife didn't tweet anything. And that just shows you that Thiago Silva can control, the actual outcome of it. It also shows me that I've read numerous reports that, that him and Pochettino do not get along. He doesn't like Poch. He consistently, there have been times where I have read that fans have seen them on the pitch get into a massive argument, Poch and him. So I think he's like, you know what? I don't like Poch. If this can kind of screw him over, let him screw. I don't care. I don't like the guy.
Well,
I just think
we've seen this with Ozil with Emery as well. Remember, and I remember Arsenal fans telling me Ozil will outlast Emery. Do you think Silva will outlast Poch?
Ozil. Oh no.
No.
I think they're both gonna go in the summer, guy. I think they're both gonna go in the summer. Thiago Silva definitely will go. Poch, it's questionable. Let's see how much they're. But you say Ozil.
Right.
Ozil
One of the things that could keep Poch in the job is these next few games. Now, maybe not so much that I think he needs to get a result at Palace to keep the pressure off him. I think Man City away, unless they get brutally beaten, it's not accepted. But
they're gonna get
they're not expected to go. They're not expected to go there. They're expected to go there maybe and compete, but not won. And then obviously the cup final against Liverpool's probably their season hinges on that. They're not in Europe. They're a million miles off Champions League. The best they can probably hope for is maybe European Conference League, nice and seventh maybe. But I mean, even that looks difficult.
No, it's
how big. I mean, does the cup final decide Poch's future? If he wins that, he's got a bit of credit.
No, because it doesn't equal. Like, let's say if he wins the FA Cup, they get into Europa League. So I get why they would keep him if they win the FA Cup. League Cup doesn't get you anything, does it? Does it get you? Gets you Conference League. I mean, Chelsea in the Conference League. Okay, I mean,
they haven't been in Europe, have they? They haven't won them last year, so suppose it might be seen as a
I don't know, Gareth. I don't see them beating Liverpool. I really don't. I think Liverpool will tear them apart, especially if they play with a 4-man defense like yesterday, with Badiashile and Dizazi.
So you see it as a one-sided final, Liverpool all the way.
I mean, Liverpool should be ashamed if they don't win because Chelsea are awful. No, let's. I mean, to Liverpool fans, wouldn't you be absolutely embarrassed if you don't beat Liverpool? If you don't beat Chelsea in the final? Like, they're awful, especially defensively.
Liverpool tore them apart last week, didn't they?
Yeah, and Jota running at Dizazi and Badiashile. I mean, that should be.
I do agree with this. So Callum does say maybe because it's a final, it might be a bit tighter, and it's not at Anfield. You rarely see teams get brutalized in a final. I can't remember too many where teams get.
I can.
Man City, Watford 6-0 is probably the most recent.
I can. Europa League final. They brutalized us 4-1. I remember that. Great.
A lot of these FA Cup and League Cup finals tend to be quite tight.
No, I agree with you. I don't think they'll beat them handily, but I do think Liverpool should win this and should win this with control. Like
Callum actually got 2 tickets to the final yesterday, so congratulations, Callum.
Oh, nice, Callum. That's cool, man.
Let's move on to Villa. I know we spoke about them briefly, but we are pushed for time. So, I mean, how many similarities have you seen from Villa's great start, the great home record, and all of a sudden, as Callum mentioned, they played 2 bang out of form teams in Newcastle and Chelsea, and they've been tore apart.
No, you see it. I saw it from ages ago. I remember you were like, Stefan, you can't say that. Like, has a ridiculous. I saw it from the Bournemouth game, away to Bournemouth, where Bournemouth absolutely battered them, and they finished 1-1 because of a lucky goal from Watkins at the end. Yeah. And I started seeing it. Then I watched them play at home to Burnley. They won 3-2, but Burnley really gave them a game. Like, Burnley could have won that game.
At home with 1 each too last one.
Yeah, and then the Emery, the kind of they started losing their luck. So they went to Man United. Went up 2-0, lost 3-2. I would say the Man United game has been the catalyst for their fall in form. Yes, people are going to point to the Sheffield game where they were 4-0 up after 20 minutes or something. Sheffield are not a Premier League side. They're one of the worst Premier League sides I've watched. Let's see.
I think that is very Emery-like too, the way they turned up and just brutalized. They can turn up and sometimes Emery teams, they say, are yin and yang. They can be brilliant or awful.
Yeah. No, the Emery, like for example, I'll give you at Arsenal.
Remember
He
the
had,
Arsenal Leicester? Remember the Arsenal Leicester game where Arsenal were playing like Barcelona?
yeah, we beat them 3-1. But
Uh,
people forget it. In the first half, Leicester could have been 2-0 up.
mm.
I'll give you another example. The Fulham game where we won 5-1, where we scored the goal of the season, the Ramsey goal, where everybody was saying Arsenal's
We've
back.
got our Arsenal back, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we went away to Crystal Palace, and he did the same at Arsenal. I told people it was a flimsy 20, what was it, 20 game, 21 game run.
22 unbeaten or something like
Yeah,
that, wasn't
22 games where we didn't look that impressive, but we still had that unbeaten run.
it?
And people were always pointing out. And then the
Very
moment
similar again. Emery's home record was nearly a year longer. 11
our
months
home
on.
record, his home record at Arsenal was insane. I remember Liverpool came to Arsenal, and we should have won. It finished 2-2, or was it 1-1? I think it was 1-1, but it was a super intense. Like we were always really up for it at home, especially in the big games and in the Europa League. I remember us absolutely destroying Napoli at home. He had some great games, Gareth. He had some, but they were usually at home, and his away record as the season went along got worse and worse and worse and worse. And that culminated in lost 3-0 loss away to Wolves, 3-0 loss away to Leicester, 1-0 loss, Declan Rice's first ever Premier League goal. I remember that. 1-0 loss to West Ham. It got worse and worse and worse. And the same thing is happening to Villa. The same thing. And all it takes is one surprise loss. And the surprise loss was the Man United game. One kind of shattering of the mentality a little bit, because the Man United game was the worst. They lost in the worst way. They were leading 2-0, and then they lost 3-2 in the end. The Newcastle game, Newcastle conceded 4 goals against Luton. Were the better team for, I would say, a larger portion of it. Luton, they conceded 4 goals to Luton. Villa lost 3-1 to them at home.
Yeah,
so
I mean, see Villa obviously now out of the cup, but still heavy favourites in the Conference League. Do you see Villa's squad being capable enough to compete? Because I know they get top 4 on, because they looked shattered last night, and he's had to play a lot of the same players.
I'm telling you right now, I said this before, the moment he has to choose between winning a cup and going in the league, don't listen to what he says, because I saw his press conference where he said the Premier League is the number one, target. That's bullshit. That's not Emery. That's just not Emery. If you look at his history, if you look at precedents, how he managed, it is always the Europa, the cups that are the most, especially the European cups. He will prioritize the Conference League. I guarantee you. He'll prioritize, because
he's a smart man. He's a very smart man, because you know why? If he does won the Conference League and go on his CV, an all European trophy, a top 4
he'll go. Not only that,
top 4 finishes go on your CV.
No, but not only that, Gary, he'll be the first coach to have won a trophy at Villa, I think, since 88, I think, or 89. Yeah. Just like at Villarreal, he was the first coach to win a cup, to win their first ever European trophy, and to win a cup for Villarreal since, I think, 1992, if I'm not mistaken, when he won the Europa League. So he's smart. He knows this. But also, let's be honest, he has a much bigger chance of winning the Conference League, in my opinion, than going strong and going for both competitions and going for top 4. I don't know. I even though I honestly think they're gonna beat Man United this weekend. I really do, because they play.
Let's speak about United, because before I know you sort of says you fancy Villa, but I mean this away record that we spoke about so much this season, it still exists. United haven't beat a top 9 team away from home under Ten Hag. I mean, is this their best ever chance? Villa look out in their feet. They've had a game a week. United have had a full week off. I know they lost Martinez, but a lot of their players have had a bit of form. Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford even looks a little bit better than he has been all season. I mean, is this the best chance they're going to get? Because I think it's Man City away is the hour game. I think they've played everyone else away from home.
I'm telling you right now, like, the one thing I always give Emery credit is for the big games at home. He's always good at them. So this is a massive game. I would say this is a game. No, they're not going to hit. They're not going to hit United on the counter. I don't know.
No, I think United will be the team trying to counter.
Yeah, United are going to be the team that doesn't play.
I actually fancy United. I have a funny feeling United this weekend.
Go watch. I want everybody to watch the West Ham game. West Ham were the better team. I know they lost 3-0. West Ham had 22 shots, had a much higher XG. If you look at some of the actual chances they had compared to Man United, there's nowhere
Different
near.
game, different game. United will sit back in this game. West Ham are the team sitting back at Old
Yeah,
Trafford.
but United don't have Martinez now, so their defense is going to be a shambles. You know this. Varane, from what I'm reading, is also injured. Supposedly, he's not going to play. So you're going to have the great partnership of Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans again.
A lot of people in the
which is-
chat agree. You definitely fancy Villa.
Yeah,
I have a
I
funny
mean-
feeling I'm telling you, United this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really shocked that a Liverpool fan thinks.
I just
Villa
think,
won.
do you know why? I just think the game, they looked tired last night. They've had an hour game. United have had a full week to prepare. I don't know how much you can change the team.
Yeah, but Gareth,
I don't think you can change it too much because of weekends Villa. I think he's only got about 13 players to pick from.
I just think this FA Cup
Pal Torres has been a massive mess for Villa. They've been a shambles at the back since he got injured. Longley, he was a disaster at Spurs. Has just continued on his form at Villa.
I can't believe this guy. Huh? This guy keeps getting moves to like good teams that are
so slow.
He's just
I
don't rate him.
He can't play the high
No,
line.
he
gets a lot of things offside, but he can't seem to get it right.
No, I actually think their biggest miss in the defense is Ezri Konsa. I've watched him. He's been really good at right back, really solid. And I think I watched their left back yesterday, Moreno. He was so bad. So bad. Like if you watch all of the Chelsea goals, especially the second one, I don't know what he's doing. Like I'm worried. I think there's gonna be goals, but Man United, I mean, I know they didn't concede against West Ham. They should have, based on the chances that they gave up. But they're gonna give them chances. Yeah, and you're saying that they have more time to recover because they have a full week. How do you know they're recovering? Rashford's probably in some Belfast nightclub.
I mean, one thing that's definitely happened since Radcliffe's come on is the mood around United has improved. We've heard Neville talking about it. It's a very short space of time to be judging it on, but you kind of get the feeling that this is just like a new manager points, almost like this boy coming on. There's a feel-good factor. Their form's picked up, but do you sense, again, they're only one result away from being back in the mud again?
I'm telling you right now, this season, I've watched them play 2 good games. One of them was against Arsenal. I thought they played very well against us, even though they lost. In the end, I mean, if you look at the stats, Arsenal deserved to win, but I thought they played well in that game, especially defensively. And the other one was the recent one against Wolves. Every other game, and I've watched a lot of Man United games, including the Champions League, they've been awful. The West Ham game, I don't care what people tell me, go rewatch the game. They made Alvarez look like Sergio Busquets. He had so much time on the ball. He was passing. He was running through the midfield. This is not sustainable, in my opinion. If you let Ollie Watkins get those chances that West Ham have, Ollie Watkins is scoring. So is McGinn. So is Douglas Luiz. They will score. So is Diaby also, and Bailey. They will score. They have much more firepower in attack. So I'll see. I'm looking forward to it because you say Villa's form is bad. Man United's away form is just as bad.
It's just something. But let's we've got about 20 minutes left, Stefan, going by your time. So we've got the 10 games to look forward to. So we'll do 2 minutes or so a game. Maybe focus on some of them a bit more in depth. The weekend kicks off with Man City against Everton in the 12:30 game. Everton 3 draws in a row, but they haven't won for quite some time now. And going to Man City, the way Man City are looking at the minute, they look very dangerous. Everton are the type of team that can frustrate, but I just don't know if they've got the firepower to hurt Man City in the break. The only thing I would say is Man City this season, the biggest difference from last season I've seen is you can get at them. Brentford had chances. They've only kept 1 clean sheet in the league since September, which is quite surprising.
No, Brentford, Brentford at 2-1. Remember, I think Norgard had a pretty. It was a great block.
They had 2 or 3 chances to go free and goal.
Yeah, like they had some good like. I think if Everton are smart, they should target the left side. I think Vardiol is a liability. If you saw Brentford, they targeted him consistently. He was out of position all the time. Everybody talks about THIER now playing well at left back. I mean, Guardiola has been much worse. The more I watch Guardiola,
100 million he cost you. Wow.
Yeah, the Guardiola has been. If you watch the Brentford game, literally every single long ball.
Although I don't think it's fair. He's signed as a centre back to play body left back. I don't think it's fair.
I agree. I agree. The same about Kivior also. I agree. But he's been awful. And if you target that left side, just like Brentford did, which was they overloaded it. If you notice, Tony would always go to that side for a long ball so he could either win a header or head it on towards the right side. I think it's an opportunity. Dyche is smart. Last season, the game finished 1-1, if you remember. Yeah. Everton played very well in that game. If Dyche gets back Onana and Doucouré on the break, I think that would be massive because they are.
I think it was Lampard's last point as Everton manager this game last year. I think he lost 4 or 5 after that. How do you see this game going, Stefan?
Yeah, I agree with Darren. It's probably going to be 2-3-0. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-0.
Full house of 3-0 ones. Just before we move on to the 3 o'clock games, Callum's asking what your prediction is for Leverkusen against Bayern. That's at 5:30. Real Madrid also playing Verona at 5:30 as well. So some big clashes.
Massive games. Massive games.
How do you see that game going? Because Callum's told me he's not watching Forest against Newcastle. He's watching Xabi Alonso against Bayern Munich.
Even though the last time I watched Forest against Newcastle, Chris Wood turned into R9 for 90 minutes. He was ridiculous in that game, but
Bayern's going to win this game. Bayern's going to win this game.
I think Leverkusen.
They're going to hit them on the counter attack.
I think Leverkusen are going to beat them. I think they're going to win. I think Leverkusen are going to win 2-0. Bayern, guys, go watch it. I've watched Bayern.
No, I don't think Bayern is great, but I think this type of game will suit them because they'll sit back and counter attack.
They can't defend, Gareth. They have Eric Dyer in defense.
I don't know. I have a sneaky suspicion the pressure might get the Leverkusen. And they played my weekend. They had to get a late goal. Don't know. Bayern Munich are seasoned. This is the type of game they might.
I agree with you, but
I experience.
I agree with you.
If they lose this game, I don't see a way back. 5 points. I think I could be it.
Yeah, it's 5. Dortmund led the league, I think, by 7.
That, but Leverkusen haven't lost a game all season.
Again, it's still too early. Leverkusen may have peaked too early. Bayern are going to come steaming in. The same way everybody said the Bayern are completely out of this, and then Dortmund lost their 7-point lead. All they needed to do was win the final game of the season at home to a team that had nothing to play for whatsoever, and they lost the game.
That was they were 2-0 down and then they think about it was scored 2 goals at the end, and then think about
they didn't. Yeah, I forgot, but they choked. Like they completely choked, and I remember
Bayern for Bayern in the away game.
No, and then Bayern also almost choked. They were drawing until like the 87th or 88th minute, and they scored in the last minute.
Cologne away, and they scored in the last minute. We'll move on quickly before we move on. Just give me how do you see Madrid Girona go? Can Girona do any damage up there?
Madrid this year in the big games have been really good. So Girona play really good football, man. If you watch, I think Girona are the best footballing side this year in La Liga, man. I'm being honest. Like they play really, really good football. But I think Real Madrid have too much firepower in midfield, and Bellingham always plays big. I don't know. Where's the game? Is it in Girona or in Madrid?
No, Bernabeu, Madrid.
I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Real Madrid.
Let's get back to the 3 o'clockers. Fulham against Bournemouth. Wouldn't say it's massive, but they are the two teams just hovering above that group in the relegation zone. Fulham just can't seem to win games. They're on 2-0 up away at Burnley. But the thing about these two teams are they probably only need maybe 1 or 2 more wins between now and the end of the season. Get a few draws in between. I just can't see the teams catching them. But these are the two teams that I'd say come maybe March time mightn't have a lot to play for. Really, it might just be finish as high as. But players tend to get the flip-flops on. I don't know about you, but this just screams draw.
It does to me, but I have a sneaky feeling Fulham are going to win. I've been quietly impressed by Fulham in the last few games.
1-1 as well.
I watched them against Everton, and I thought they were by far the better team and should have won. I don't know how that game finished. I think it finished 0-0. Yeah, it finished 0-0. But they were good, and I've been impressed by them. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are going a little bit down lately, but I still really like Bournemouth.
Callum saying 2-1 Bournemouth. The boys are watching, so Liverpool Burnley is our next game. You couldn't really have picked a better game for Liverpool to come back. Because I know Sheffield are bottom, but Sheffield will be a bit more compact. Burnley tend to have this crazy idea of don't matter who we play, we'll attack. So I mean, I think they could get cut to pieces here. Liverpool turn up. This will be
I
a
agree.
goal difference. This will be a good day for the goal difference.
I agree, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as you think. I don't think they're gonna win 4-5 now. I think it'll be a 3-1 win for Liverpool.
I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go 4-0. Darren's saying 1-0 harder than people think. Callum disagrees. He's saying 5-0.
Yeah,
A
Callum.
lot of
Callum
confidence.
always goes big. Weren't you guys gonna win 3-0
He
at the
says
Emery?
3-0 last week. Did he say 3-0 last week?
Yeah.
Luton
That
against
one well,
Sheffield.
Callum.
Huge game. I mean, if Sheffield have any hope, they need 3 points. I just don't see.
Oh no, Luton.
I just think Luton at home, this is a big game for them. And if they won this, if Luton won this game, it's going to send shockwaves to the likes of Palace, to the likes of Brentford, Everton. This will be massive, and I do fancy them to get it.
I just want to say, Gareth, I watched them against Newcastle, and I was super impressed by their two midfielders, in Sambi Lokonga and in Ross
Barkley.
Barkley. If Sambi Lokonga continues to play the way that I watched him, he outplayed Bruno Gimenez. Him and Ross Barkley completely outplayed the midfield that they had. If Sambi plays like and continues to play like this, he does have a future at Arsenal. So let's see.
Darren saying 3-0. Callum saying still third. Stefan, be quiet.
Okay. It's
How do you say
January.
I'm going
It's
to kick it
February.
off. I'm going to say Luton. They're going to not be easy because I think Sheffield will make it difficult. But I
2-0.
think Luton will win
2-0.
2-1. Luton 2-1.
2-0 for me.
Callum saying 1-0 Luton. The entertainers, the two teams that just do not care about defending, pick on each other this weekend again. And if it's anything like the first game, this is going to be fireworks. Spurs against Brighton. I mean, I expect at least 4 goals in this game, but you probably
agree.
More.
I agree with this.
But the one thing I would say is Spurs at home have been quite solid, and even when these games where there's a lot of shots, it could be 40 shots each, or it could be 40 shots in the game, 20 each. Spurs tend to find a way to win, but you just don't know. At the minute, Spurs just can score into a game and concede into a game. It's hard to get a read on them.
But the thing for me, we can have a little bit of a longer segment on this because I'm intrigued to hear your point. I'm concerned about Spurs, man. I watched him against Everton, and it was tough. The other thing I noticed is that
they got bullied a wee bit, sort of.
They got bullied, and he didn't change anything, which I've noticed when he does make changes, it's negative changes. So the moment he brought.
I guess that shit, man, it's his midfield's just not at the technical level he needs it.
No, Bentancur, I've said you need to sign a number 6. You don't have.
I think the team is back this weekend, so I'd imagine he'll play.
He's not a 6, man. Trust me, he's not a 6.
He's the best we have. He's the best we have. Bentancur's not a 6.
I agree with you, but I honestly think when Højbjerg plays, although you're not as good going forward and in terms of the fluidity of the play, defensively you're way more open. He's not a good 6, Bissouma. He's the guy that can be an 8 at max. But I'm telling, if I'm Spurs and I have money, I would break the bank for João Paulinho from Fulham. Like it's a no-brainer.
We need that type of player. We need a player that's just going to sit there and police it.
No, but you also need some toughness. None of your players are tough. Like some of them are like, I don't know, like
what I've noticed as well is teams are putting 2 players on Madison now and just kicking him, and he can't get any.
Everton literally kicked him out of the game. They literally kicked him out. They had Harrison who kicked him. They would
some nice moments, but largely it was just on the ground most of the time.
Yeah, all they did was kick him and they would take turns. Godfrey would kick him, then Harrison would kick him, then
the only thing I would say is Brighton are not that type of team, and this is a game.
They are, Gareth. Have you seen their defenders?
But they concede a lot of goals. Brighton concede a lot of goals.
That's true. No, the thing with Brighton is what type of Brighton is going to show up because they're super.
I think Cal nailed it here. Coin flip could be 5-2 to Brighton or 4-1 to Spurs.
I completely agree with because Brighton
has 3-2 Spurs. Son's back this weekend as well.
No, I agree. If Brighton come and play their football, though, I think they're a better footballing team than Spurs. I do. If they play their football and they start passing it around and you give them space like you do, you gave Everton tons of shots. You gave Bournemouth tons of space to play, even though you won. I know you've won the home games, but let's be honest, those home games could have been different.
Could have went the other way,
Yeah, exactly. So I'm worried because Brighton had a nice confidence boost last weekend. They battered Crystal Palace. Joao Pedro is scoring.
They
Welbeck
tend
looks
to
really.
struggle to follow up though. They haven't won 2 in a row for a while. I was reading that's
No,
the only
they
thing.
do. They do well at home, and then they suck away. They're very Jekyll and Hyde. So
I,
I'm
I
intrigued to see.
strongly fancied Spurs in this. I just think we saw him back too. He mightn't
I
start, but
think
he'll
it's
be
gonna
off the
be
bench.
really
Yeah,
tight. I think you'll win, but again, it's gonna be one of those flimsy, kind of like the Everton game where they'll have a lot of
It'll
shots.
be the best game to watch on Saturday. I tell you, that as a neutral.
You know what? I think you win 3-2. That's my prediction. Yeah.
I just have a sneaky suspicion Brighton will get chances, but I just have a feeling we're gonna have one of them days in front. We're just gonna
Is Son gonna play? Do you know?
Be off the bench. I think. I fancy it. I'm gonna go 4-1. 4-1.
Because let me tell you, Richarlison is not gonna get a sniff. Those defenders that they have, Igor and Dunk, they're massive.
He only needs one chance. He's so clinical at the moment.
I get it, but he's not gonna win the ball once again. Especially again, have you seen Igor? He looks like a bodybuilder. He is not gonna win any duels with him. So
I think it's all about the start here. If we get out and just get a couple of goals, we'll win this quite comfortably.
And then if you look at their wing backs, that right wing back has been Hazelwood or what's his name?
Hanselwood, and
then they have. I really like
for us apart at that Amex.
They have some really good. They have some really good attacking players. I would say where you might be able to dominate them. I think their midfield is a little bit lightweight. I do. I think they're a bit small.
Star will be back as well. He'll start this.
Yeah, Star. I think people rave about Billy Gilmore. I don't see it. I think he's too small. I don't think he's quick or he's nothing special like compared to the previous midfielders they had. But where I'll be worried about you is Mitoma against Poro.
Is he back? I thought he was injured.
He's back. He's back. He played for Japan, so he should be fit for the game.
He'll be danger man, definitely. I just fancy us strongly in this game. I just think
I'm going 3-2 Spurs also. I think you'll win.
I'm gonna go 4-1.
4-1?
Just have a feeling. Okay. Wolves, Brentford. No, it won't be like a 4-1 battering session. I think Brighton will have as many chances as us. I just fancy us to be more clinical. Wolves, Brentford. I mean, Gary O'Neill, what a story. I mean, playing some football. Brentford, they've lost 8 of their last 9 games.
Yeah, so they're in terrible form.
And the Forest game was it could have went the other way. They won that game, but it could have went the other way. So I think you have to fancy Wolves at home here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a boring. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Wolves.
I agree. I'm gonna go 2-1 as well. Saturday night football again. I think even a lot of Premier League fans, their eyes might be elsewhere. It might be the German big clash, the Spanish big clash. I think
why? Who doesn't want to watch Chris Wood, man? Late night football.
He hasn't done a tap since, has he?
Wood? Yeah, he had that one amazing game. He's done nothing after.
How do you see this game go?
Newcastle's away form is abysmal this year. They've been terrible away from home.
2-1s all season.
But Nottingham Forest, I mean, I think they're getting pretty much most of their players back. Nottingham, I think only the Nigeria. Actually, wait.
I fancy Forest at home.
Same.
I think as well, the fact that Luton may have already won.
It could be though the perfect game for Newcastle for the counterattack. But they have Anthony Gordon is out. Isaac is out. I'm gonna go for a 1-1.
2-1 Forest for me. Sunday, bumper clashes on Sunday. A great Super Sunday. West Ham Arsenal kicks it off.
For this game.
Hey, West Ham are going for a hat trick of wins against Arsenal this season, and this West Ham away is always a dodgy game.
If you watch the previous 2 games, West Ham had 3 shots. They beat us 3-1 in the League Cup. In the other game where they beat us 2-0, they had 3 shots. They scored 2 goals. Like
this year, 1-0 to Arsenal.
Actually, I think
this is the game you just want to get the one because the next games after us look quite
favorable. Yeah, they're in terror. I mean, we should win here. I agree. They're in horrible form. They have a massive injury pileup in which they're missing Paqueta, they're missing Antonio.
Jared Bowen, awesome because Paqueta was the boy feeding Kudos and Bowen. That service is dried up.
Yeah, Kudos. They have only 2 danger players, arguably, in Kudos and Bowen. And Bowen is playing as a 9. He's not playing as a winger.
2-1 Arsenal. So the boys are
gnarly. I don't think. I think we'll win. I think we'll win quite. I think it'll be a controlled game. I think we'll win 2-0. I don't think we'll concede.
I'm going to say with Darren says, I think just 1-0 as well. I think it's going to be one of them games. They're going to be hard to break down, but he's going to get a goal. Similar to the Brentford game.
Jesus is back, by the way. So
he'll be a big boss. Aston Villa United, we spoke about this game earlier. Big game because if United won this, all of a sudden only 5 points behind Villa. Who knows if Brighton take points off Spurs? They could be 3 or 4 behind Spurs. So this could be a big game for United on Sunday.
Wait, Gareth, what are you talking about? Like after they beat what was it? They beat West Ham. If you watch some of the fan cams from the United shows, one guy compared Garnacho to Messi. This is the level. So
the lads are fancying Villa 2-0 Villa, 3-2 Villa.
No, they're leaking goals, Villa. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win. 2-1 win.
I'm gonna go the same scoreline, but in United's favor. I fancy United 2-1. Just have a feeling, honestly. Yeah, just have a feeling. Quote me on it on the next show. And finally, the Monday Night Football. Probably the 2 most under fire managers in the league. Hodgson at the moment. I don't even think he wants to be there.
No,
Chelsea. I mean, he just doesn't care, does he? Hodgson, he's saying all these things. They get the fans riled up, and then, I mean, I'm struggling to believe Pochettino at the moment. He said after his interview on ITV last night that he just knew, he was so relaxed this week that they were going to beat Villa. I mean, I don't really know where that came from, but the man at Pochettino's very funny press conferences, and he had that same feeling at Spurs where he's always miscommunicating. His English isn't great. Big game.
He does it on purpose.
We know Wesley. I know Wesley and no Elise. It's going to be tough for Palace to score a goal.
They have no star power. If Chelsea doesn't beat this Crystal Palace team,
no.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think there's gonna be that many. I think it's either gonna be a 0-0 or a 1-0 to one of them.
I mean, I think Palace are in trouble. At least he's out for 2 months. Ezzy's out for 3 to 4 weeks.
I read. And you forgot Guehi's out for 4 to 5 weeks also.
Yeah.
So they have their 3. I would say their 3 best players are out. I'm telling you Chelsea right now. I think it's gonna be a Roy Hodgson classic, man. 1-0 Palace. Chelsea. All of that talk on the weekend, they're gonna go down. I'm telling you right now. They're gonna 1-0 Palace. It's gonna be a corner or a free kick, and they're going to score from it. 1-0
I'm going to go Chelsea 1-0. Just think they'll have enough. Stefan, thanks for coming on. We're right at the time, so it's been excellent to have you on. We'll be back on Tuesday, so we will. Me and Owen looking back at the weekend's results and previewing the return of the European football, including the Champions League. So that is back as well. If you're new around here, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content. Stefan, enjoy the football this weekend. Thanks for coming on.
Man. You too, man. Thanks everyone. See ya.